Okay, so, this video will be about on violent video games. Honestly, I think it depends on the person. I I am a fan of video games and some violent ones. I mean, my best friend's Andal, so. And by the way, go subscribe to him. But violent video games, like, it depends on if you take things out of control. Like, you can me, I have like ADHD, which doesn't really matter much, but kids who have like autism, I know some kids who have autism that are some of the best behaved kids ever. I'm not saying don't give autistic people violent video games. I'm saying like, or bipolar, because I'm bipolar. You can tell in some of my videos probably, but yeah, I'm bipolar and I'm not saying I shouldn't play violent video games. I'm not saying anybody who's bipolar shouldn't play video games. I think you should have the maturity level to know that it's a video game and you can't go out and do it in real life. I mean, I was sitting at home with the Sandy Hook shooting and all the stuff I've heard about it from everybody and stuff like that. I don't think it was from just playing video games like some people say. Or just being crazy. I think it has something to do with just kind of like the mentality level. You can be an adult and not have very high mentality level. I mean, look at my parents. But, I've talked to a lot of people. I've done research. I've taught on, like, violence in the media. Yeah, there is a lot of violence in the media, and it reflects a bunch of teenagers and kids anymore with children in kindergarten being exposed to media, but just the fact that you have to be able to tell that it's not real life. And I mean, like, if a kid who gets mad and threatens to pull a knife on their mother or on a teacher, for instance, the school I volunteer at, there was a fight where a kid pulled a knife on another student and a teacher, and I saw it. So, I mean, and they claimed it was from a video game. Well, you should know that this was 8th grade. You should know better than to say than to be able to have a video game influence what you do in real life. I mean, if a video game influenced what I did in real life, if I let it influence me, I would have went on millions of shooting sprees and killing anybody who made me mad. But I know that you can't do that in real life, and like, people need to have the mentality. Yeah, there are some pretty violent video games out there. I have older brothers, and I play video games myself. I know. And they can get out of hand with some people, but I think parents should control their children. If they let them play, like, Grand Theft Auto, for instance, at like 6, they don't have the mentality level to know that you can't do this in real life. You can't go shoot anybody. You can't go steal cars. That's why it's rated mature. That's why they have ratings. Parents need to control this stuff a little bit better. And with the whole gun control, I live in New York, and the gun control laws are crazy. And there's hunting games, and I live in the country, so there's hunting all the time. I always hear gunshots, and everyone freaks out and says if someone gets mad or somebody has autism or something like that, they are going to go out and shoot somebody because they have access to guns or they have access to violent video games, violent music, all of that. I listen to some pretty violent music myself. Some of the rap I listen to, some of the just any music I listen to pretty much. But that's all kind of like people look down on Eminem for his Slim Shady. That's an alter ego just for media, just to entertain. Not, he doesn't do that in real life. And I know when I was little, because I would listen to people, I thought he did that in real life. It did everything like shoot somebody in real life or stuff like that. He never did that. And people give a bunch of rappers, pop stars, a lot of that stuff, they look bad on them for violence in their music, but it's just for entertainment. Like, my ringtone is Eminem. I absolutely love Eminem, and I know that it's an alter ego, yes, but and I know when I was little, I snuck listening to him, listening to Eminem and stuff, listening to rap because I was kind of sheltered, so being sheltered, I did a lot of things I shouldn't have, but like it's, you know that it's not true, and I, at the time, I didn't know it wasn't true until I got the mentality level to know that violence in music, violence on TV, and I used to think people getting shot on TV was real. That's not true. And I would see my brother and his friends play Call of Duty, just any game like that, and they always loved shooting games, and I used to think it was gross seeing the blood. Now I absolutely love it, but like, and I think people blow violent video games out of proportion. I know I'm kind of repeating myself, but people need to learn that violent video games can be fun to play, but it's just for entertainment. And I know when volunteering at the school volunteer at, I taught some 7th graders about that, and a bunch of kids, we did a paper, and I was reading the papers and grading them, and they were talking about how violent video games are so bad, and how they influence people so much. I do think they influence people a lot, but they shouldn't. I mean, the way they influence people is not right, but that's all depending on the person. Anyone who's mature enough to play a violent video game anybody who plays a violent video game should be mature enough, I should say, to know it's just a game, like wrestling. That's all real. A lot of it is staged. And reality TV is staged. Like, I grew up in a pretty violent city, and I currently live in a pretty violent city, but one of the worst school districts on the East Coast. But I grew up in a country school where everybody had access to weapons and stuff like that. And when I got out of public school and went homeschooling, I was out walking around a lot and like actually in town, and I saw a lot more of what happened and a lot more of the violence. But honestly, I love to watch fights. I love all that, but until it gets it's fine until it gets out of hand and it gets extremely violent. I mean, I'm not saying I'm no saint, but because I've fought before, I've seen fights, and it can get violent and people can start bleeding, but it all gets blown out of proportion. Like, the people let the media, forms of media, influence too much of their life. I mean, for instance, I used to let drama influence my life, where a bunch of, especially guys, they let violence influence them, like through games, music, TV, movies, stuff like that. And like, we had a discussion back around my birthday, so a few months ago, and youth group, and when I went to church and stuff, and they were talking about how it's so bad, and I explained to them, like, everybody in that youth group has been sheltered except for the new people, and they were on my side, and because they grew up in the inner city and not sheltered, they see things going on, and it doesn't, like, it influences people way too much. They should have a more positive influence. And video games, they can be a positive influence at times, depending on the video game, but video games are for fun, not for real life. And I know somebody who, her son 7 years ago got shot, or no, got beaten to death, and in a park the night before his birthday, and like, they said it was from friends and stuff, from a gang and whatever, that they got in an argument over a video game. That goes way out of hand, because 7 years ago this kid was 16, I think. Yeah, because same age as one of my brothers, and it's just like, really, over a video game you kill somebody? And bullying, yeah, bullying happens every day. But going out and killing somebody because you see it on a video game, you see it on TV, you see all that, that's just flat out stupid, in my opinion. It shows immaturity more than anything. And yeah, so I know this is going to be almost 13 minutes, so violent video games aren't that bad. And so I would go look at my best friend, his channel. He does play Grand Theft Auto. He's mature enough to know that it's just a game. I mean, sometimes driving wise, I turn that into it, but that's a different story. But it's just a game, not real life. Violent video games are just games and just for entertainment. So, peace.